Hey guys, good morning. It's Tony. I did want to do a quick TA on Roku. I did get a couple requests on my Patreon. In case you are new to the channel, I do have a Patreon where I take a lot of TA requests, and I tend to do them for. I tend to do the request on my Patreon first before I get to like the YouTube and comments and stuff. So if you're interested in the Patreon in the channel, we do definitely. There's a lot of stuff going on there too. And again, I hate kind of plugging in that because I feel like I'm selling something, but it definitely helps the channel if you're part of the Patreon. And it'll keep like the channel not alive because this is still pretty fun, but whatever. Anyways, the last time we looked at Roku, the last time we actually did any TA, I guess the general consensus was down, right? We actually ended up breaking resistance, going back up to the 200 MA, and then coming right back down to 327, and then we actually kept falling, broke a little bit, and then we're now at previous support at 328. I mean, just looking at the chart really quickly, it does look like we're gonna keep going down. Like everything looks pretty bearish right now. You might actually see a turn on Roku just because it did break that 50 MA on the weekly. But it tends to usually do that sometimes without not really having too much what is it called, effort. And we are technically, I wouldn't say I'm completely bearish since it did create what is it called? It did create a double top, but I actually think we're gonna be reversing possibly soon. It does look like this next upcoming week we are gonna be seeing a complete reversal to the upside, at least from just like an indicator point of view, right? So, last time we actually reversed from these levels, we actually ended up running. We're basically around the same spot, right? We essentially rallied at the same amount of time or the same amount of dollar points as far as back in May 17th, right? So you did 157. You're on that same range of support. So I would not be surprised, not necessarily this week. I would not be surprised if you see because it's still technically a little bearish. You're under resistance, so I would not be surprised to have Roku trade something like this, and then probably end up somewhere around like these levels like this. So right now the daily, we are looking like it is possibly going to be going down a little bit. You have been essentially just trading kind of sideways ever since that bullish trigger back here on September 16th. So like I said, I would not be surprised to first see a nice drop off to 294, 293 previous resistance, and then you just complete moonshot. You just do a complete moonshot to the upside, like especially because you have really big major support right here on the weekly. If I had to take a quick guess, I would say that for the most part, I would be buying Roku right now, and looking at a little bit more of a long-term hold, especially with after Jerome Powell's speech, basically saying how QE is going to continue. If you do break levels, if you do break 295, there's a really strong chance you can see 175 again. You can see a major drop, right? Because there's not really a lot of support around this range. It's just kind of a straight shot up, right? So you have support at 203 monthly, strong support at 174, again at like 156, and then again at like 150ish or whatever, which would probably be like more of a psych level than anything. But I do think there's strong support here. I would if I was in Roku, I'd definitely be buying in here, definitely in this range, and expecting a reversal at least back up to like something like 445 in maybe the next like 2 months or so, because it does look like we are generally going pretty good to the upside. So as of right now, I would say I'm bullish on Roku, at least after the week closes bullish. I would not be getting into any entries right now. Definitely not be getting in any entries. I would wait a little bit longer because I do think that there is a chance that it drops to at least at like maybe 312 again, 310, possibly down to 300, 294 where previous support is. But after we hit here, I can definitely see us bouncing to the upside, especially with the weekly about to close, bullish. So I can definitely see another move up to maybe 379 on or 378 on like a semi bullish sentiment, and like a very very bullish sentiment we go back up to like 459. I wouldn't be surprised to see another little another big major rally towards the upside. It does look like the push is going to be just as hard as what we did back here on starting, May 17th and ending on, June 28th. So I would not be surprised to see Roku do something like this and then just completely shoot to the upside. But I think anything right now between 327 and 294, I think generally anything right now is a really good buy-in price. So I mean, whether you're holding long-term or short-term, I think this would be a really solid swing. Anything in this price range, right? So if you're buying right now, you can see, I mean, generally the forecast right now is going to be what, 460-ish. So you can see a 43% return if you actually buy in sometime like Monday next week right now, or if you wait to maybe hit 294, 295, you can see a 56% return. So it really just depends on what you think is actually going to happen. Personally, I would probably be buying this whole trading range because a 40 and 50% return is generally just amazing. So, if I was swinging a position, I would definitely be buying Roku at anything under 328, 326. So generally anything in this trading range right here. So as soon as you see a crossover like that, so anything right here, I would consider a buy, 100%. I would consider a buy here all the time. I mean, I can even do like a paper trade right now and see what happens in like the next 60 days when we come back to this. But yeah, I think short term definitely bearish, more to the downside, but I say it doesn't really matter. If you buy here or you buy here, you're still looking at a 40+% gain if we do rally back to relative-ish highs at like 430, 440. And I'd say worst case scenario is you don't really see some really strong major resistance until like 378. So I think at most you see like a 40% return. Minimum you might see like a 20% or something, which would still be a really good swing. But I think as of right now, longer term, I would be pretty confident on an upward movement, especially since the last high was at 490 and the previous high was at 486. So you do have a double top, but remember that whenever you create a double top, there's a really strong chance that if the second top is higher than the previous top, then there's a really strong chance that when you do hit actual final support, that it's going to rally right back up to the upside. It just shows that there was a lot of bullish sentiment when it had that previous top, even if it's by just a couple of cents. For the most part, general sentiment would be towards the upside. So Roku right now, definitely short-term bearish. I would not be surprised if you just see a complete reverse to the upside. But any level, anything between that trading range of 294 and 326, I'd probably be buying it because it looks like we are going to have a reversal, and I can definitely see Roku back at like 460-ish, 450-ish, 378 minimum within the next 2-3 months. So I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.